The first colony didn't send a distress call. It didn't send anything at all. One moment it was alive, millions of people, active grids, constant chatter across networks. The next, silence. No explosions. No energy spikes. No debris fields drifting in orbit. Just a perfect, unnatural quiet that swallowed everything whole. Command assumed malfunction. Communications blackout. Maybe a localized failure. They dispatched a recon vessel. It never returned. No wreckage. No signal lost trace. No final transmission. Just gone. Then the second colony vanished. This time, they were watching. Monitoring every system in real time, expecting signs of attack or collapse. Instead, they witnessed something far worse. Systems went dark one by one, not violently, but cleanly, as if they had simply been turned off. Cameras kept running until they didn't. People moved, then stopped, then disappeared from feeds entirely. Still no distress signal. By the time the third colony went silent, fear had replaced confusion. This wasn't war. There was no enemy fleet, no weapons fire, no detectable force. Entire populations were being erased without leaving behind even a shadow of what had happened. Command escalated. Specialized recon teams were deployed, units trained for unknown threats, equipped with the most advanced scanning and recording technology humanity had ever created. Their orders were simple: find out what happened and come back alive. None of them did. Every team vanished the same way. No escape pods. No black box recovery. Not even corrupted data. It was as if something had learned how to remove not just life, but evidence. The planet at the center of it all was catalogued but never named. A quiet world orbiting a stable star, with breathable atmosphere, stable ecosystems, and no signs of hostility. On paper, it was perfect. In reality, it had become a graveyard. They called it a dead zone. A place where signals went to die and answers never returned. And yet, everything about it looked untouched. Cities remained intact. Infrastructure stood undamaged. Orbit showed no signs of conflict. It wasn't destruction. It was absence. That's when Command made the decision no one wanted to make. They would send their finest. Not scouts. Not expendable recon teams. This time, they deployed an elite interstellar unit, soldiers engineered, trained, and tested beyond anything standard forces could achieve. Veterans of impossible missions. Survivors of encounters no one else walked away from. Each of them carried neural-linked combat systems, enhancing awareness and reaction speed to near-instant levels. Their minds were reinforced with perfect recall implants. Nothing seen, heard, or experienced could be forgotten. Every second of their mission would be recorded, stored, and transmitted in real time back to Command. No gaps. No loss of data. No unknowns. If anything happened to them, humanity would know exactly what it was. Their orders were precise. Land on the planet. Locate the source of the disappearances. Recover any surviving data or personnel. Return. And above all else, keep the transmission active. The fleet dropped them into orbit without incident. No interference. No anomalies. Sensors read clean across every spectrum. The planet didn't resist their approach. It didn't react at all. That was the first problem. Dropships descended through calm skies, cutting through thin cloud layers that parted without turbulence. Below them stretched vast, silent cities, structures intact, lights off, streets empty. No movement. No heat signatures beyond natural background levels. It looked abandoned. Too clean to be real. Boots hit the ground in formation. Weapons raised, scanning patterns overlapping with mechanical precision. The soldiers moved as one, every step calculated, every angle covered. Nothing responded. No hidden threats. No environmental hazards. Just wind moving through empty streets, and the distant hum of systems long since powered down. One of them paused. Just for a second. His gaze drifted across the skyline, lingering on buildings that should have been alive with activity. Something about it felt wrong, Not dangerous, not hostile, just off. He frowned behind his visor. A flicker of unease passed through him, subtle enough to ignore. He checked his readouts. Everything was normal. Vitals stable. Neural systems synchronized. Memory logs recording perfectly. There was no reason to hesitate. So he didn't. The unit advanced deeper into the city, their presence the only sign of life in a place that should have been full of it. Their systems continued transmitting, feeding command a constant stream of data, visuals, audio, biometric readings. Every detail captured. Every second accounted for. And yet, as they moved, that same soldier slowed again, his thoughts snagging on something he couldn't quite grasp. A feeling. Not fear. Not recognition. Something else. He turned slightly, scanning the same street they had just crossed. The same buildings. The same empty silence. For a brief moment, confusion crept in. He opened a private channel, voice steady but uncertain. "Command, do we have prior footage of this location?" A pause. "No prior ground deployment recorded," Command replied. The answer should have settled it. It didn't. He looked forward again, trying to dismiss the thought. But the feeling remained. Like he had been here before. Like he had seen all of this already. And couldn't remember when. The sweep began with precision. Every movement mapped, every corridor cleared, every structure catalogued in real time. Their systems fed command a constant stream, clean visuals, stable vitals, flawless telemetry. On paper, the mission was proceeding perfectly. It didn't feel that way. The first inconsistency was small. Easy to dismiss. A timestamp glitch. One soldier flagged it during routine review, 2 entries overlapping by a fraction of a second. Impossible, but minor. Systems recalibrated automatically. No error detected. The log corrected itself. They moved on. Minutes later, it happened again. This time, a full second missing. No one noticed it in the moment. Only when the logs were reviewed did the gap appear, an empty slice of time where data should have been. No visuals. No audio. Just a clean break, as if that second had never existed. Diagnostics were run immediately. Everything came back normal. Memory implants functioning. Recording systems intact. Neural links stable. No interference detected across any known spectrum. Command advised continuation. Then the repetition started. A soldier opened a door. Cleared the room. Reported it secure. 30 seconds later, he opened the same door again. Same motion. Same words. Same report. The difference was subtle, but the logs captured it perfectly. Identical actions, identical timing, identical phrasing. Like a loop playing twice. He didn't notice. None of them did. Command flagged the anomaly, requesting clarification. The soldier responded with confusion. According to him, he had only opened the door once. The logs said otherwise. Tension crept in. The unit tightened formation. Cross-checks increased. Every action now verified by at least 2 operators. Every movement logged verbally as well as digitally. It didn't stop the gaps. Another slice of time disappeared, 3 seconds this time. Then 5. Then 10. The soldiers began to feel it. Not as pain. Not as disorientation. Just absence. Moments that should have existed but didn't. Thoughts that felt incomplete. Actions that didn't fully register. One of them paused mid-step, frowning. "What was I doing?" Silence. The question lingered longer than it should have. Another soldier answered automatically, repeating the last known objective. It sounded correct. It felt correct. But something about it didn't sit right. They checked their logs again. The footage showed them moving through the same street 3 times. Identical paths. Identical formations. None of them remembered doing it more than once. Command's tone shifted. "Maintain continuous verbal updates. Confirm all actions. Do not rely solely on internal memory." They obeyed. For a while, it helped. They spoke everything out loud. Every step. Every scan. Every observation. The audio logs created a second layer of verification, something external to their thoughts. Then the audio began to fail. Not in quality. In continuity. Sentences cut off mid-word. Conversations restarted without context. Replies given to questions that hadn't been asked. One soldier stopped, pulling up his own helmet recording. He watched himself speak. Clear. Focused. Precise. He watched himself turn, signal to the team, and move forward. He had no memory of doing any of it. His breathing changed, subtle, controlled, but faster. "This isn't a system error," he said quietly. No one argued. Paranoia followed. If the systems weren't failing, then something else was wrong. Accusations surfaced. Quiet at first. Tampering. Internal compromise. Psychological interference. Eyes lingered longer than necessary. Movements were watched more closely. Trust began to fracture, not from evidence, but from uncertainty. Another gap hit. This one longer than the rest. Nearly a full minute. When awareness returned, they were standing in a different location. Formation intact. Weapons raised. No one remembered moving. Command demanded a full report. No one could give it. The logs filled the silence instead. Footage showed them walking, talking, scanning, acting with complete coordination. It meant nothing to them. One soldier accessed a deeper layer of his recording, personal memory cache. The implant stored everything. Every sensory input, every neural response. Nothing could be lost. He scrubbed through the data. It was there. An entire sequence of events, clear, detailed, undeniable. He watched himself experience it. And felt nothing. No recognition. No connection. It might as well have been someone else. That's when the fear became real. "Command," he said, voice tighter now. "We have full records of events none of us can recall." No immediate response. Then, carefully. "Clarify." He hesitated. Then spoke the truth. "We're not losing data." A pause. "We're losing memory." Silence followed. Not from the channel. From the team. No one moved. No one spoke. Because in that moment, every single one of them realized the same thing at once. If they couldn't trust their own minds, then they had no way of knowing what had already been taken. Discipline held for as long as discipline could. Then identity began to slip. Rank stopped meaning anything first. Titles became sounds without weight. Orders were repeated, acknowledged, then forgotten before they could be carried out. The structure that had made them effective started to hollow out from the inside. Names followed. One soldier addressed another, and paused. The word was there, somewhere, just out of reach. He substituted a call sign instead. Moments later, even that felt unfamiliar. They checked their HUDs. Identifiers still displayed. Tags still active. It didn't matter. Seeing a name wasn't the same as knowing it. They adapted the only way they could: simplify, repeat, reinforce. Short commands. Constant verification. No assumptions. It slowed the collapse. It didn't stop it. The city around them remained unchanged. Empty streets. Silent structures. No visible threat. Nothing to fight, nothing to track. That was the problem. There was no enemy to engage. Only something happening to them, inside them, beyond their reach. One soldier stopped responding to commands. Not out of defiance. Out of absence. He stood still, weapon lowered, gaze unfocused. Vitals steady. Neural link active. No physical damage. Report. No answer. A second soldier stepped closer, repeating the command louder. Still nothing. Then, slowly, the unresponsive soldier turned his head. Not toward the voice. Just somewhere? As if reacting to something none of the others could perceive. Weapon raised. No warning. The shot missed by inches. Instinct took over. The unit reacted instantly, disarming him, restraining him, forcing him to the ground. Movements precise, controlled, efficient. Training still held. But the reason for it was already fading. "Why did he fire?" someone asked. No one answered. Because no one knew. The restrained soldier struggled for a moment, then stopped. Not because he gave up. Because he forgot why he was resisting. His body went still. Eyes open. Empty. They secured him anyway. Procedure demanded it. Even if procedure no longer made sense. More fractures followed. Two soldiers argued over a direction, each convinced they had come from a different path. Both checked their logs. Both were right. The recordings showed conflicting realities, overlapping sequences that couldn't coexist yet did. Paths taken and not taken. Actions completed and repeated. Time wasn't breaking. Perception was. One of them began writing on his armor. Simple words. Large letters. "Stay together." Minutes later, he looked down at it, confused. Who wrote that? No one claimed it. Another started placing markers, physical objects, something external, something real. A trail they could follow. It worked. For a while. Then they began finding markers they didn't remember placing. Rows of them. Dozens. Leading in circles. One soldier followed the trail until it looped back to the same point. He didn't realize it until he saw himself on the recording, passing that exact location earlier. More than once. The realization hit, sharp and immediate. "We've been here before." The words carried weight. Not as a guess. As a fact. He pulled up extended logs, older data, archived automatically by the system. There it was. Multiple entries. Same coordinates. Same movements. Same team. Different timestamps. They had run this path again and again. Each time unaware of the last. The implications spread through the unit, slow and suffocating. This wasn't the first time they had done this. It wasn't even the second. "How many times?" someone asked. No answer. Because the number didn't exist in their memory. Only in the data. And the data kept growing. Another soldier accessed deeper analysis, cross-referencing patterns, searching for cause. Something consistent emerged. The gaps weren't random. They expanded around moments of realization. The closer someone got to understanding, the more they lost. He pushed further anyway. Overlaying timelines. Comparing deviations. Mapping the decay. A shape formed. Not physical. Conceptual. A presence without form. The planet. Not its surface. Not its environment. Something within it. It wasn't attacking their bodies. It wasn't disrupting their systems. It was consuming their cognition itself. Memory. Identity. Continuity. All stripped away piece by piece. The stronger the mind, the more there was to take. A slow process. Deliberate. Efficient. He opened a channel, urgency breaking through. "Command, we have a working theory." The sentence cut. Not externally. Internally. The thought collapsed before it could complete. He froze, searching for it. The idea had been there. Clear. Complete. Now it was gone. He tried again. Nothing. Around him, the others continued moving, speaking, acting, patterns repeating without awareness. Fragments of a mission none of them could fully grasp. The data still recorded everything. Perfectly. Cold. Accurate. Unfeeling. But inside their own minds, there was less and less left to record. And whatever this was, it wasn't finished. Order was gone, but motion remained. They kept moving because stopping felt wrong, even when they no longer understood why. Steps followed steps. Hands checked weapons they didn't remember picking up. Voices issued commands that dissolved the moment they were spoken. What remained of them wasn't knowledge. It was instinct. The systems were still active. That mattered. Not to their thoughts, but to something deeper, trained responses that didn't require memory to function. Their implants continued to record. Their transmitters continued to send. Processes running beneath awareness, untouched by whatever was stripping everything else away. One of them triggered a failsafe. He didn't remember doing it. The command existed in the system logs: manual override of transmission protocols. Continuous broadcasts forced to maximum priority. No interruption allowed, no matter the condition of the operator. A safeguard meant for catastrophic failure. It activated cleanly. From that point forward, everything they experienced, every fragment, every broken second, was pushed outward without pause. The content degraded immediately. Video stuttered. Audio fractured. Data streams overlapped, contradicting themselves, looping, collapsing. Words cut in half. Images repeated out of order. Entire sequences played over each other like corrupted echoes. But it didn't stop. Even as coherence vanished, the signal persisted. Inside the unit, deterioration accelerated. They no longer spoke in full sentences. Language broke down into isolated words, then into sounds, then into silence. Recognition followed the same path. Faces became shapes. Shapes became nothing. One soldier stood motionless, staring at his own reflection in a darkened visor. He tilted his head slightly, as if trying to understand what he was seeing. There was no recognition. No connection between observer and image. Just a form. He reached up, touched the surface. Then lowered his hand. The moment passed without meaning. Nearby, another continued a task he had started minutes, or hours, earlier. Adjusting equipment. Rechecking readings. Resetting systems that didn't need resetting. Each action precise. Each purpose gone. They were empty of context. But not empty of behavior. The transmission carried it all. Endless fragments. Broken loops. Repeated motions. Glitches that weren't glitches, but evidence. Proof that something was interfering at the most fundamental level of thought. Back at command, analysts watched the feed in silence. At first, it looked like total corruption. Then patterns emerged. Not in what was being shown, but in what was missing. Gaps that aligned too perfectly. Sequences that ended exactly where understanding should have begun. Moments of clarity cut out, leaving only before and after. Someone recognized it. "This isn't system failure," a voice said. Another analyst overlaid the incoming data with predictive models, mapping where continuity broke. A shape formed. Consistent. Intentional. Targeted. "Something is removing cognition," they concluded. "Not disrupting it. Not damaging it. Removing it." The realization spread quickly. Every vanished colony. Every lost team. Every silent report. They hadn't been destroyed. They had been erased. And the source was still there. Still active. Still waiting. The transmission continued to degrade. Inside it, the soldiers no longer resembled soldiers. No coordination. No communication. Just scattered movement, isolated actions repeating without reason. One collapsed, not from injury, but from the simple absence of direction. Another stood over him, watching, as if expecting something, then forgetting why he was there at all. Yet the signal never stopped. Even when one operator fell, another passed near the controls, triggering inputs without understanding them. The system remained active, sustained by coincidence, by residual behavior, by the last echoes of training embedded deeper than thought. It was enough. Within the chaos, one final anomaly appeared. A repeating spike in the data, subtle, buried beneath layers of distortion. Not random. Not environmental. Deliberate. A pattern. Analysts isolated it, filtering out the noise. It wasn't language. Not exactly. But it carried structure. Intervals. Repetition. Intent. Someone, something, was still trying to communicate. Not with words. With persistence. The pattern repeated again. And again. Each time weaker, more fragmented, closer to disappearing entirely. Then it stopped. The feed didn't end. It just flattened. No variation. No input. No signal beyond baseline noise. Complete absence. Silence. The room at command remained still. No one spoke for several seconds. Then, quietly, "They're gone." Not killed. Not defeated. Gone in a way that left nothing behind. Except the data. The pattern. The evidence of what had happened. And because of that, humanity finally understood. The planet wasn't safe. It wasn't empty. It was a predator. And it fed on the very thing that made them human. Memory. Identity. Self. The mission had failed. Every soldier lost. No survivors. No return. Exactly as feared. But not meaningless. Because even as they lost everything, even as their minds were stripped away piece by piece, they didn't stop. They kept moving. Kept recording. Kept transmitting. Not because they remembered the mission, but because something deeper refused to let them end in silence. And that was enough. Humanity turned away from the planet after that. Not in defeat. In understanding. They marked it. Isolated it. Warned every system within reach. No one would go there again. Because of them. Because even when nothing remained, they still managed to leave something behind. They forgot who they were. Forgot why they came. Forgot everything that defined them. Everything. Except how to resist.